evening, everybody. Yeah, any doubts, any issues? I had given one question in last lecture. Is the God is self-contradictory? Have you written? Let us discuss, then later on you can show me. Is Syadvad a self-contradictory doctrine? So, answer is both. Is Syadvad a self-contradictory doctrine? No, it is not self-contradictory. Why? Because existence and non-existence have been said from different point of view. Isn't it? This is what we have discussed, and this is where you have written in the criticism number 1. It is not self-contradictory. But from another point of view, it is self-contradictory. Why? Because they talk of relativity in the absence of absolute. So this is contradictory. No? This is self-contradictory. Because relativity cannot be sustained in the absence of absolute. This is how you have to need to think on that. This is very conceptual, and it is because of this they have asked in 30 mark the question. Anyway, let us proceed further. And now we will move to second school. After Jainas, we will see Buddhism. So this is our second school. Basic details we are aware. Buddhism founded by Buddha. Earlier he was Siddhartha, right? Belonged to royal family, belonging to some republic. Isn't it? We also know that Buddhism more or less contemporary of Jainism. Isn't it? More or less belonging to same area. Both are belonging to royal family. Both married. Mahavir had a daughter, and Siddhartha, Buddha, will have son. So this is how we have seen Buddhism, and Buddhism had become very popular. Once it has reached, the most popular religion. Brahminical faith was much behind. But we also have studied in history that because of some problem, Buddhism, after some time, started declining, and a time had come when it almost vanished. So from India, now Buddhism is almost vanished. It is just lying in scattered in certain pockets only. So that belongs to the part of history, ancient history. You must have read what are the causes for the decline of Buddhism. Basic details we are aware, such as this Buddhism, Siddhartha and all that stories. One story goes around that when Siddhartha was about to take birth, his mother had a dream, and his mother had seen white elephant with lotus. Next morning, she shared her dreams with the king, and king had called Purohit. Interpret, because this is what you have been appointed. What does it mean? Purohit, or the person who used to analyze all these things, had said that there are only two possibilities of this dream. One possibility is that this boy, which is going to yet to take birth, will be the greatest king, Chakravarti king. Neither before him or after him, no such king would occur. He will be the greatest. And king was very happy for this, isn't it? And he distributed sweets and all that, and he asked, "Ye bahut badhiya ho gaya." By the time next, he asked her, "What is the second possibility?" Right? So he was told that another possibility is that, or this boy will be the greatest sage, right? Greatest, monk. ना इससे पहले ना इसके बाद ऐसा monk होगा. This is the second possibility, alternative, which had really troubled king, and all his happiness and joy was shattered. And whatever sweets he had distributed, he has taken back. Lao yaar, de do meri wapas. Isn't it? Galti se de. And as we know, that he was very much concerned about the second alternative. And this is what we have been read, many stories. Siddhartha was confined into now palace. He was given all princely training, weapons and horse riding and statecraft and all that thing, and this boy has grown up as a truly prince. When he grown up, then he was married, and he had son. And king is almost assured that now there is no problem because he is married and now he is having son also. But the destiny was something different. This boy, Siddhartha, young person Siddhartha, had once expressed his desire to his charioteer named Kanthak or Channa? Channa, I think. He called his charioteer Channa and demanded, "Kya Channa yaar, baar ghuma ke laya? What actually is happening outside? Let me see." And Channa says, "No problem, sir. Let us go out tonight." And this is where Siddhartha, along with the Channa, goes out of palace. And he sees some signs. First of all, Siddhartha sees a diseased person. Isn't it? He was sick. Then he asked to Channa, "Here, what has happened to him?" Then he was told he is suffering from some disease. Oh, what is disease? What is illness? Then Channa told, "Sir, it is a part of life. Sometimes we fell ill. सर्दी जुकाम खांसी हो गया, बुखार आ गया, हो जाता है, ठीक हो जाता है. Something like that. Fine. This is how the disease is. Next he moves and Siddhartha sees a very old person. Very old. 90-year-old. It's a completely bored, पूरा झुका हुआ है. It's not able to walk even. Buddha asked Channa, "Here, what is this? ये क्या चीज है?" Channa says, "Sir, सबसे पहले तो I'll tell you, ये चीज नहीं है कोई. Isn't it? He is a human being, like you and me. But he has reached to a stage where it is old. Old stage is there. Everybody has to reach to that old stage. We take birth and we grow and we reach to the old stage. You, me, everybody has to become old. This is the law." Siddhartha says, "Okay, fine." Further he moves, and then Siddhartha sees a dead body. That person is lying, and many people are following him, and all these people were crying. And Siddhartha asked, "Here, why these people are crying and why he is sleeping?" Then charioteer says, "Sir, he is not sleeping. He died." What is death? He says that death is inevitable fact. Anybody who has come in this world has to die. Birth implies death. This is how the system goes. A child, then adult, then old, and then final stage. After final stage, it is like, death. Everybody has to die. You, me, everybody. This is the third sign Siddhartha had seen. And further, he sees fourth sign, and he sees one sage, one monk. And Siddhartha asked to Channa, "Who is this person? Why he seems to be so happy? ये बड़ा खुश नजर आ रहा है. Isn't it? Who is he? What is he?" And then charioteer says, "Sir, he is abandoned the worldly life. He is like, he did renunciation. He is like monk. He is free from all these bondings. And hence you are finding him as something like happy." Siddhartha, after seeing these four signs, had transformed his thought. And now he is troubled and sees that in this world there are many suffering, disease, old age, death, and this has troubled him a lot. And destiny was something different, and as we all know, that once he decided to leave his home, renunciation, in the search of that what exactly is happening in this world. Isn't it? Why we people suffer? Disease and death and all that. What is the reason? What is the law behind all these things? Chal kya raha hai? To find answers to his question, he leaves renunciation. And this event of renunciation is known as your history question, prelims question. Yes, Mahavinishkraman. Right? This ceremony, renunciation, is known as this. And this is where he wandered from one place to another, meditating, concentrating, in order to get that answer to his question. Many years passed. Once he decided, yaar bahut ho gaya. One more thing, Siddharth was wandering and was doing searching along with his 5 friends. Siddharth along with his 5 friends. All these people were searching the answers of their questions. After many years, Siddharth once finally decided, yaar bahut hua. Now I will sit down in a meditation and I will get up only when I get answers, all answers of my questions. Otherwise I won't get up. This is how we have seen, and this is what he has involved into serious, extreme, rigorous penance. We read all these stories in those Amar Chitra Katha type comics. Kathor Tapasya. And days and months have passed, years have passed. And this, as we had seen and read, that this, Siddharth is just reduced to a skeleton and just about to fall. Fine. The story goes around in that way. Nearby there was one farmer was living. And the farmer had a daughter named Sujata. Right? That lady, Sujata, daughter of that farmer, happened to pass nearby Siddharth. Sujata had seen Siddharth and smiled and laughed and passed on one comment, sarcastic comment. Right? What did she say? She said, Veena ke tar, Veena, understand? Musical instrument, that Veena. कि वीणा के तार इतने भी नहीं खींचे कि टूट ही जाए और इतने ढीले भी नहीं छोड़े कि सुरी ना निकले. Right? That means don't stretch these wires, strings of this musical instrument so hard that it breaks away. And don't let it so loose that no musical note is coming. Have you understood? Siddharth heard these words and immediately opened his eyes and found that how he is to attain, how he is supposed to get answers of those questions. That means this rigorous and severe penance will not help him, because if he dies, then who will get answered? This is where that Sujata's comment had revealed a path which will lead him to that answer. And this is where Siddharth abandons path of extremes. Extreme penance, no. Or extreme indulgence, no. And this is where one should adopt middle path, madhyama. Life should be, moderated lifestyle. Avoidance of extremes. Because extreme will not take you to anywhere else. These are only traditional stories, not historical facts. Whereas Buddhist texts mention all this. We are just having the feel of Buddhism. Right? Gradually and slowly we are moving towards basic philosophy. So Buddha now decides for middle path, and started following middle path, neither extreme penance nor extreme indulgence. When Siddhartha starts following middle path, moderated path, his 5 friends had abandoned Siddhartha, and those 5 friends had said कि boss तेरे से अब कोई उम्मीद नहीं, isn't it? Because you are aspiring for answers of those questions, and you can't have this, by this moderated life. You really have to do extreme, penance. And these 5 people had abandoned Siddhartha, and this is where both of their paths, diverge, separate. And as we know, after some time, Siddhartha at Bodh Gaya, on the bank of river Niranjan, under the peepal tree, Siddhartha attains that right knowledge. He attains that enlightenment, and this is where Siddhartha becomes Buddha. This is where Siddhartha attains nirvana, enlightenment, right knowledge, and now Siddhartha is Tathagat. Tathagat means one who has attained the truth, and now he has answered of all those questions, because now he is enlightened soul now. Right? So this is where Siddhartha now becomes Buddha. Those 5 friends of him who had abandoned earlier rushed back to Buddha now and says, क्या की गलती हो गई, sorry यार, extremely sorry. गलतियां किसी से भी हो जाती हैं यार. अब बता यार, अब तेरे को क्या मिला यार, हमको भी बताओ. And this is where Buddha says, कि fine, no issue. Now let us move to Sarna, and I'll teach you. I'll tell you the reality. And this is where Buddha delivers his first religious sermon to his 5 earlier friends, and now those 5 people had become his disciples. And this is where he delivers first sermon at Sarnath. More specifically in Sarnath, where there is one deer park known as Isipatanam. Right? In that park, Sarnath, he delivers his first lecture, and now he utters the first sentence and says that, look my friends, this world is full of suffering, sorrow and misery. The world is full of suffering, sorrows and misery. The first sentence, the first line which he had uttered was that this world is full of suffering. Many people criticize कि क्या यार enlightenment मिला, और enlightenment के बाद जो पहला शब्द बोला वो क्या बोला? The world is full of suffering. You are too pessimistic. कुछ अच्छी बात कर यार, कुछ अच्छी चीज, सुंदर चीजें बता. ये क्या आते बोल दिया कि भैया कुछ नहीं हो सकता, world is full of suffering. He is sounding pessimistic now. The world is full of suffering. But we will see that though he may sound as pessimistic, but in the next line, very next sentence, he says that there is a cause of this suffering. There is a cause of suffering. There is cause of misery, sorrow. Right? And if you remove that cause of suffering, your suffering are removed. And this is where in the third line he says that cessation of suffering is possible. Cessation of suffering is possible. How it is possible? You remove cause, effect will automatically go away. So he might sound as a pessimistic, but actually he is optimistic of the highest level, because he is not just concerned about this, suffering. Actually he wanted to give solution. He actually wanted to remove element, suffering. And this is where Buddha is one of that highly optimistic person. And he says, cessation of suffering is possible. If you remove cause, that suffering will go away. And for that cessation, you have, or we have, there is one path. You follow that path. There is a way for the cessation of suffering. And that way is, that is broad path, that is Ashtangic Marg. That is eightfold path. Isn't it? This is where Buddha says four realities. This is where Buddha says four truths which have been popularly known as four noble truths. Four noble truths. That is four Arya Satya. They are Arya Satya. Four noble truths. Four Arya Satya. What are these four noble truths? The world is full of suffering. There is a cause of this suffering. Cessation of suffering is possible. And for the cessation there is a way. And that way is Ashtangic Marg. That way is Ashtangic Marg. These together four are known as four noble truths. And now we will see that Buddha's entire philosophy, the whole philosophical system is based on these four noble truths. It is the foundation of Buddhism. The superstructure of Buddhism is built on these four noble truths. We will see that one by one Buddhist philosophy, doctrine, theories will one by one come from these four only. Again I repeat, his entire philosophical system is implicit in these four. Right? That is bondage and liberation and all those theories we'll see one by one is coming from these four noble truths. Hence, on four noble truths, you can have 5-marker question, 10-marker question, 15, 20, 30 or 60-marker question also. Nowadays 60-marker questions are not coming, but in old pattern there were 60-marker question also. We had seen in Jainism old pattern. But this four noble truth has the potentiality of being asked under 60-marker also, because entire system is implicit over here. Is that clear? So Buddhism, first of all, we have understood that he gives four noble truths in his first religious sermon, that is at Sarnath. And this first religious sermon is known as Dharma Chakra Parivartan. Isn't it? These are the certain events, right, which have been given certain names. Now, one by one, we will analyze these four noble truths. What second noble truth says? What is the second noble truth saying? That there is a cause of suffering. And third noble truth says that if you remove that cause, effect or suffering goes away. And this is where from second and third noble truth, one view has come, that is, everything in this world has a cause. Everything in this world has a cause. Everything in this world is conditional. It is dependent. If you remove cause, then effect is also removed. That means everything is subject to production and destruction. That also means that everything is subject to birth and death. World is full of suffering. Second noble truth says that there is a cause of suffering. That logically implies that everything in this world has a cause. There is not a single thing in this world which is uncaused. A simple formula, a simple theory he has taken out, that everything in this empirical world means the world in which we are living, the world which we can experience. In this every world, everything has a cause. It is dependent. This table is dependent on its cause. If you remove that cause, this table is removed. This is how he is trying to say. If it is dependent on its cause, and upon the removal of cause, this is also removed, that logically implies that everything is subjected to birth and death, production and destruction, because production itself implies destruction. Everything is relative. This is what we had discussed in our first lecture, that everything in this world is relative. Birth implies death, production implies destruction. So everything in this world has a cause. There is not a single thing in this world which is uncaused. This is where he has come out a philosophy known as theory of causation. Theory of causation. Isn't it? Because he is talking right now relation between cause and effect. So this is theory of causation. That means he further elaborates this theory of causation. Very specifically, this theory of causation is known as theory of dependent origination. Theory of dependent origination. Dependent origination. What does it mean? Anything which originates, which originates in this world is dependent on its cause. There is not a single thing in this world which is uncaused. There is a cause of this table. What is the cause of this table? Wood. There is a cause of this pen. There is a cause of this board. There is a cause of this pen. There is a cause of me. There is a cause of this thought which had come in my mind right now. Not a single thing which is uncaused. This cause of this table is wood. What is the cause of wood? Tree. And this is where everything, again and again I am repeating because this is what the philosophy is. His philosophy. Everything, right from these things to my thought, is dependent on its cause. Without cause you can't have anything. And what he is saying, whatever we see in this world are of the nature of effect. This is of the nature of effect. ये तो effect है ना. This is effect, this is effect, this is effect. जो हमारे सामने वो effect है. It means logically implies that it must be having its cause. This is his theory of causation, known as theory of dependent origination. Right? And this theory of dependent origination can be represented in a one causal formula. That is, this being that arises. This being that arises, that is, wood being, table arises, dependent on the cause, what arises? Dependent on the cause, what arises? Effect arises. This being that arises, fire being, heat arises, wood being, table arises, plastic being, this pen arises, cause being, effect arises, cause being, suffering arises, this being that arises. This is nothing but the relation of cause and effect. Buddha is talking about the simple issue. Not any hardcore, any, that, deep thinking and something like that. बड़ा सिंपल सी चीज बता रहे हैं. क्या बता रहे हैं? कि भैया कॉज इफेक्ट होता है. हर एक इफेक्ट का एक क्या होता है? कॉज होता है. यही ना कह रहे हैं, और यही कहते रहेंगे थोड़ी देर तक. Is that fine? Any thought I have, does it come without any cause? Very simply and straightforwardly he is moving, very logically he is moving. So this is his theory of causation, known as theory of dependent origination. Of course, Buddha did not teach in English, isn't it? He taught in Pali. So of course he would be giving a Pali term for it. And this is where he says that this philosophy is known as Pratitsamutpada. 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 What philosophy? Don't hesitate in saying. Pronounce with me. एक बार मुंह से बोल देंगे तो कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाएगा. हाँ यस यस आ रही है समझ में धीरे धीरे. Pratitsamutpada. This Pratitsamutpada is nothing but theory of dependent origination. And this theory of dependent origination is nothing but theory of causation. The causal formula is this being that arises, wood being table arises, fire being heat arises, cause being effect arises. This theory, this philosophy is logically coming from which noble truth? Second and third noble truth. Some years back there was one simple question. What is the metaphysical importance of second noble truth? So what is the metaphysical importance of second noble truth? एक तो दिखी रही है हमें just in the very beginning. That is, it is leading to Pratitsamutpada. And now we will see that how Pratitsamutpada is leading to his entire system. Four noble truths from second and third we have Pratitsamutpada. And this Pratitsamutpada we will see that central teaching, foundation is his entire system. And one by one, many philosophies will come from here, this itself. I told you, his entire system, philosophy is all about nothing but Four Noble Truths. If you have understood Four Noble Truths, his system is nothing. Four Noble Truths, this world is full of suffering. There is a cause of this suffering. Cessation is possible. If you remove cause, तो effect कहाँ से रहेगा फिर? And to remove that, we have way. And second and third leads to Pratitsamutpada. Yeah, you had something? Good. So this being that arises. Is that clear? Now, don't forget this theory. This is the crux. Because what Buddha is saying, that everything has a cause. And we will not forget. And we will not let Buddha to forget this. Isn't it? And hence, what Buddha had said in the very first noble truth, that this world is full of suffering. So find Buddha. This world is full of suffering. But you also believe in what? Pratitsamutpada. That is, everything has a cause. So please tell me, what is the cause of suffering? From where this suffering has come? What is the cause of this misery? Sorrow. Then Buddha says, no problem. Everything has a cause. If you are suffering, there is a cause for that. This being that arises. And you are suffering because you have taken birth and you are trapped into birth, and that is rebirth. This being that arises, moment you take birth in this world, means you have come into the world of suffering. Your birth implies nothing but suffering. Why? Why it implies suffering? Because birth means death, and death is the biggest suffering. I can tolerate any kind of suffering, but the biggest suffering, the biggest pain to our life is death, and birth implies death. Moment we come in this world, in this sansar is nothing but the sansar chakra is nothing but the suffering. Getting my point? If birth is the cause of the suffering, then Buddha, what is the cause of my birth? Because you believe in Pratitsamutpada, this being that arises, nothing in this world is uncaused. And hence, I asked, what is the cause of this birth and rebirth? Then Buddha says that look, when we are living our life, and when the last moment comes, when we are living, and when the last of last moment comes, Akhri Shan comes, when you are dying, in that last moment, one will comes and you shout, once more. Are you getting? That once more comes, and that is will to born again. Right? That will arises in the last moment. That will does not confuse that it is matter of my saying. Whole life I am saying, this world is full of suffering, this chodo yaar, kab mukti milegi, this chodo, hatao. And hence you have decided, कि now I will say, I will not come in this life, Right? And once your life is moving, and when the last moment comes, you have already decided. What? That I will not come. And you are saying, I will not come, I will not take birth, I will not take birth. Died. Definitely you will take birth, because it is not matter of my saying. मेरे बोलने से थोड़ी होगा. Are you understanding me? That bhav comes in my life. When the last of last moment comes, when a time comes for the separation, you now leave this world. I don't want to live. यार नहीं, मैं तो नहीं जाऊँगा यार. एक बार और यार, once more यार, please. To take. Who is refusing? This being that arises, and moment you take birth, suffering. Don't forget Pratitsamutpada, and we will not let Buddha to forget it. And hence we will ask to Buddha that why this will comes. Will I क्यों? मैं तो नहीं आना चाहता था यार. I don't want to come. But still that will had come. Then Buddha had said that why will comes, it is because there is clingingness. There is clingingness to these worldly things. You are attached with these worldly things. Isn't it? इन सांसारिक चीजों से आप चिपके हुए हैं. And when time has come for the separation, then you started crying, and then you said, no, I want to come again, because you don't want to leave. Clingingness means attachment. I am attached with this world. And once clingingness is there, then automatically what comes in me in the last moment? Will. And will means next word. This being that arises. Now why this clingingness has come? From where? Buddha says clingingness has come because you had, there is a sense enjoyment. And there is thirst for that enjoyment. Isn't it? You experienced something and you enjoyed. Since you enjoyed, you want to have more and more enjoyment. That thirst has come in you, that craving has come in you, that desire had come to you, and hence you want to continue to enjoy, and hence you have clinged to that. आप उस चीजों से चिपक गए हो, because you enjoyed. This being that arises, and this being that arises, and this cycle begins. Is that clear? Sense enjoyment and thirst is there. One very obvious question is, how come this enjoyment is there? Buddha says, because you had sense experience. You experienced something. Means you saw something. Huh? You saw. You had eaten something. You enjoyed. Enjoy means more enjoyment I want. Clingingness, and this is how the cycle begins. What is the cause of sense experience? Buddha says that sense experience is because of you have senses, sense organ, object, contact. Sense organ object contact. Sense organ object contact means my hand come into touch with this board. It touch हुआ, there is a contact. I experienced something, isn't it? I experienced, I enjoyed. Oh, it's so fun to touch this board. Sense enjoyment. Sense enjoyment means now there is thirst. There is a craving. I want to continue this, enjoyment. And when time has come, you will leave. Then I will not. Isn't it? So sense organ object contact. You had eaten something. You experienced something. I saw something that come into contact with that. Sense experience. Sense experience give me sense enjoyment. Cycle. Then why my sense organs come into contact with object? Buddha says, because it is very natural. Because you have 6 sense organs. 6 senses हैं तेरे पास. What else? Who else can do? You already have 6 senses. 6 senses means 5 external sense organs and 6 senses internal sense organ, that is man. 5 external sense organ, eyes, nose, ear, tongue, hand, and 6th sense organ is मन. कहते हैं ना कई बार मेरा मन बहुत अच्छा है. I am feeling very happy because that man comes into the contact with psychological feeling and that tells me that I am very happy. So Buddha says that you have 6 sense organs. और जब 6 sense organs है, when you have sense organs, obviously that will come into contact with object, and hence you will have experience, whether good or bad. You enjoy, you thirst, clingingness, पकड़ लिया उसको. And when time comes for separation, then obviously you will shout that once more, and once more means lay, and lay means sansar. You have come in this world, and this world is full of suffering. क्यों? यहाँ पे डिजीज होती हैं, टेंशन्स होती हैं, रिवेंज है, जेलेसी है, बहुत तरह के सारे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. और यहाँ तो हमने इनिशियल भी स्टडीड कि हैप्पीनेस इटसेल्फ मीन्स, जिसको मैं हैप्पीनेस समझ रहा हूँ वो एक्चुअल में तो सैडनेस है, क्योंकि यहाँ तो बहुत बैलेंस शीट बन रही है. So what I am calling as happiness is actually sadness. Hence the sansar is full of suffering. Now the issue is, here ये 6 sense organs कहाँ से आया? ये है ना 6 senses, ये कहाँ से? Here Buddha, please don't live in between. You only said this being that arises. For every factor there must be cause. So ये 6 sense organ कहाँ से आए? Buddha says, अरे यार समझ में नहीं आ रहा. You are a proper being. A proper being हो, that is psychophysical being. And psychophysical being means having six senses. I am a being, no. Being है तो भाई पूरा स्ट्रक्चर है नया, तो सेंस ऑर्गन्स तो आने ही आने सारे. Now the question is, यार ये being कहाँ से आ गया? Isn't it? From where this being had come? Then we said, we asked, of course, we have no other option to go to Buddha and ask, यार अब ये कहाँ से आया? मैं कहाँ से आ गया? Me, this being, this proper being, from where? Buddha had said, look, some initial consciousness had come. Initial consciousness had come in your embryo. जब आपका embryo था, once you had that embryo, then some consciousness had come. Right? And because of that consciousness, this embryo has developed into being. And being means six senses. And six senses means they will definitely come into contact with object. And hence you will have the experience. And experience means you will have enjoyment. Enjoyment means thirst. Isn't it? Craving. And that means clinginess. And in the last moment, when time has come for separation, obviously you will say, and hence you have suffering. Isn't it? Buddha is moving very logically. And now it is like कि यार अभी तक तो यहाँ से तो मेरे हाथ में था सारा सब कुछ. Isn't it? It seems to be like it is directly or indirectly I was responsible. लेकिन ये तो यार मैं बना ही नहीं यार अभी. मैं तो हुई एम्ब्रियो नो. And this embryo had the initial consciousness. अब यार ये embryo consciousness कौन लेके आया? Who brought this consciousness in my embryo? इसमें तो मेरा कोई रोल हो भी नहीं सकता. I can't have any kind of role. Isn't it? But Buddha stands for this being that arises. कि बेटा कुछ तो cause है. बगैर cause के तो यहाँ पर कोई चीज हो ही नहीं सकती. There is nothing, literally cannot, without cause. If consciousness has come in your embryo, there has to be some cause. What is that cause? Isn't it? What is that cause? So Buddha would be saying, कि बॉस पिछले जन्म में भी कुछ काम करके आए हो. You did certain action in your previous life, and those actions have led to the accumulation of fruits. This being, and this is how the thing is. So we have karmic impressions. We have karmic impressions. Those accumulated. Isn't it? Indeed. We are talking in a very layman language. That bag which is full of fruits. पिछले जन्म में कुछ कर्म करे ना आपने. Isn't it? And cause, if you did certain action, obviously that will lead you to. In fact, this being that arises, and this will cause that initial consciousness in the embryo. And this is how cycle begins. And now I am feeling so sad and repenting and disgusting and this and that. अरे यार पिछले जन्म में अगर कर्म नहीं करे होते तो इस बार इस संसार में मैं आता ही नहीं. Why did I do those karma? What is the reason? And I said, I literally started pleading and to Buddha and said, यार बुद्धा मैंने कर्म ही क्यों करे यार? Perhaps I would have not. काश नहीं करता. Then Buddha will say, my child, you did not have any option except to perform action. तेरे पास कोई option था ही नहीं. Why? Because you were afflicted with ignorance. You were afflicted with ignorance. You were ignorant. And out of ignorance, you had no other option except to perform action. And action means effort, isn't it? And this is where it will cause next link, and this is where your cycle will start. This being that arises, ignorant being, action. This being that arises, this being that arises, this being that arises, and this is how I am suffering. Getting my point? This is how Buddha is delivering his lecture in his first sermon to his 5 disciples. Isn't it? And now we would be asking, if Buddha, you only told that everything has a cause. So there must be cause of ignorance also. So Buddha, now please tell me, what is the cause of ignorance? Because you have already said, this being that arises, there is not a single thing in this world which is uncaused. That is, everything has a cause. Everything is conditioned, conditional. It is dependent. So this ignorance, from where this ignorance has come? Please, you have to tell. Because you only believe in Pratitsamutpada. Then Buddha says, यार एक चीज बताओ, you want to remove your suffering or you want to know the cause of ignorance? वो यार बुद्ध ये गलत बात है देखें, isn't it? बता दो सही यार, ignorance का cause क्या है? So Buddha repeats his same thing and asks, you want to remove your suffering or you want to know the cause of ignorance? If you ask cause of ignorance, me to Buddha, मैं तो बुद्धा हूँ, बता दूंगा तेरे को, because I am enlightened, बड़ी मेहनत से मिला है. But the problem is, you asked what is the cause of ignorance? Me, बता दूंगा मैं. I'll say X. The best part is, immediately you will ask cause of X. I'll tell you why. The best part is, again you will immediately ask, what is the cause of? Why? And for me, there is no problem. क्योंकि मैं तो फिर आजकल बुद्धा एंटरटेनमेंट है यार, किस बात की एंटरटेनमेंट सब काम में आएगा. मैं बता दूंगा देखो, बोलूंगा जेड, तू पूछता रहेगा, मैं बताता रहूंगा. You'll keep on asking for eternal time, and I'll keep on answering you for eternal time. But the problem is that for eternal times you will be suffering. Now it's your choice. You want to know the cause of ignorance, or you want to remove suffering. Choice is yours. If somebody has come with a severe pain, headache, or with any kind of pain, बिल्कुल दर्द से मर रहा है, he is dying of pain, and doctor is giving you medicine, and you say, "Arey, stop, first you tell me what is the cause of this pain." तो डॉक्टर बोलेगा नहीं यार कि पहले खा ले फिर मैं बताता हूँ. Choice is yours. ये तो आपने डिसाइड करना है चाहिए क्या. Are you getting my point? Hence, Buddha says that consider this ignorance as beginningless. And this is where we complete the cycle, and this ignorance is considered as beginningless ignorance. Beginningless ignorance. Are you understanding? It is beginningless ignorance. कब शुरू हुई वो छोड़ना है for eternal times. But the fact is, right now we all are afflicted with ignorance. But some people don't get satisfied. उनका यार मजा नहीं है, हमको तो बताना पड़ेगा. We are helpless. Buddha thinks यार ये मान ही नहीं रहे. Then Buddha says, okay, fine.
I'll tell you some example. I'll explain you certain case, certain story.
And then you decide करना क्या है. Because this has been a big issue, no? When there everything is a cause, ignorance must have also cause. बुद्धा कहता है कि हाँ है ना यार, कहाँ तक दिक्कत है. But you will keep on asking questions, cause, isn't it? It is simply like that. What is the cause of this table? Wood, tree, seed and all this, you can say soil, water and all. Soil, water and all, environment. What is the cause of environment? Solar system. What is the cause of solar system? Big Bang. What is the cause of Big Bang? Small Bang. Small Bang. Isn't it? That way we will fall into fallacy of infinite regression. So somewhere we have to believe.
Yeah, fine, we have to stop here.
And let us focus on that. Get my point? Still, if things are not clear, then Buddha says,
Look,
case number 1. There is one person, right?
And to that person,
one very sharp, poisonous arrow
comes and stops in the middle of
his heart. A very sharp, poisonous arrow strikes that person and it pierces his heart, middle of heart, and blood is pumping out. Isn't it? That person, moment it strikes, he immediately takes it out and takes first aid and take medicine and put it and stops the blood, right? And saves his life. Case number 1. Case number 2. To second person, one poisonous arrow, very sharp arrow, very poisonous arrow, it comes and strikes in the middle of his heart, and it almost pierces and through in the middle of his heart, and blood is pumping out like anything. And that person says, यार मेटल बड़ा जबरदस्त है. ये देखो, और देखो मतलब सीधा दिल के बिल्कुल बीचों बीची. Isn't it? और यार क्या निशाना यार, कहाँ से मारा है यार इसने? दिखा तो नहीं. और देखो ब्लड कितना निकल रहा है यार, कितना खाता पीता हूँ यार. इससे जबरदस्त pumping out. This second person will die. Now, Buddha says, now still you want cause of ignorance? Isn't it? And this is where Buddha says, don't speculate. Speculation से कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. And this is where what second person is doing? Speculation. ये होगा, वो होगा. अरे छोड़ना क्या होगा? इसको निकाल immediately like first person and save your life. In this way, Buddha never ventures into speculation. And moment anybody asks anything regarding God, otherworldliness, heaven, what happens after moksha, Buddha remains silent. He answers through silence. Because his intention is to say that you will not understand what I am saying. Because you people are ignorant, and Buddha says, I am enlightened. So what I say, you won't understand. And once your ignorance is removed, then will you be asking? You won't ask. There is no point in speculation. Forget about God and all this stuff. Focus on the practical reality. And the practical reality is that right now I am afflicted with ignorance. So you ask me how to remove this ignorance? That I'll tell you. But don't speculate. And on all these speculated things,
Buddha remains silent. He avoids. He is neither saying or neither accepting nor denying. Is that fine?
and this is where he has found solution of misery in these chakra. And these chakra are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is a causal wheel. This is a causal wheel of 12 dependent links. Causal wheel of 12 dependent links. And this is known as what? Sansara Chakra. This is known as Janam Marana Chakra. This is known as Dharma Chakra. This is known as Bhava Chakra. Or this is known as Pratitsamutpada Chakra.
This is a causal
Wheel of 12 dependent links. 12 dependent links. Causal wheel, which is known as Dharma Chakra, Sansara Chakra, Janam Marana Chakra, Pratitsamutpada Chakra. As an ignorant soul, as we are all ignorant, we are trapped into this Sansara Chakra and hence suffering. Isn't it? These 12 dependent links, when seen through ignorance, this is nothing but the sansar. This is nothing but the sansar. Because we are trapped into that. Right now we all are ignorant and we are trapped into this causal wheel. Isn't it? And same Pratitsamutpada, if you see from the knowledge point of view, from the right knowledge point of view, then I am not trapped into this, no. And that is nothing but nirvana. That is nothing but nirvana. Death is not the end of the cycle. What Buddha says, that death is not the end of the cycle. Rather, death means new birth. Death means a new beginning. Death is not the end of the cycle. This is a vicious circle. Movement from where, we don't know from where you start. कहीं से भी शुरू कर लें, घूम के वहीं आएंगे. This is the vicious circle. Death is not the end. Rather, death means a new beginning. If you really want to end this cycle, then you really need to know what is the root cause of the cycle. And what is the root cause of this? Root cause of the cycle? Ignorance. And ignorance will be removed by right knowledge. Right knowledge of what? Right knowledge of this chakra. And moment you have right knowledge of this chakra, you have nirvana. So this Pratitsamutpada, when seen from the ignorance point of view, then this is sansar chakra. And same thing when seen from the knowledge point of view, then this is nirvana. When seen from the knowledge point of view means that am I clinged? जब knowledge है, when I am seeing this sansar chakra from the knowledge point of view, am I afflicted with clingingness? No. So इसमें trap ही नहीं हूँ. I am not trapped into that. And that is nothing but the nirvana. Nirvana does not mean death. Nirvana does not mean extinction of existence. I repeat, nirvana does not mean extinction of existence. Rather, nirvana means yes, that is cessation of suffering. Nirvana does not mean extinction of existence. मेरा existence खत्म नहीं होगा, because we all know that it is only after Nirvana, Buddha taught for another 40 years something. His life was full of activity. He wandered from one place to another, very hectic schedule, teaching and teaching and teaching and teaching. So Nirvana does not mean extinction of existence, because we know that Buddha, his life was full of activity. Right? Nirvana simply means extinction of existence. Suffering. Cessation of suffering. Pratitsamutpada, Buddha identifies Pratitsamutpada with Bodhi or Pragya. What is Bodhi and Pragya? That is we will see, pure consciousness, ultimate reality. Bodhi is enlightenment. Bodhi is the pure knowledge. So one who sees Pratitsamutpada sees the Bodhi, enlightenment, right knowledge, pure consciousness. And one who sees the Bodhi will see the Pratitsamutpada. They are the two sides of one coin. एक ही सिक्के के दो पहलू हैं. Right now we are seeing this sansar chakra. We are trapped into that. This 12 dependent link, causal wheel. So for us, this is sansar chakra. But for Buddha, who is living in this world, for him, it is nirvana. It is relative as well as absolute. Buddha. It is relative as well as absolute. Pratitsamutpada. One who sees the Pratitsamutpada sees the right knowledge. One who knows Pratitsamutpada knows the right knowledge. But now you can say, sir, we are knowing Pratitsamutpada. 12 लिंक है ना, 12 डिपेंडेंट लिंक्स. आई एम नोइंग. अभी याद हो कर ला, अभी नहीं हुआ तो कर लेता हूँ 2 मिनट करके बताते. So did we get nirvana? We did not get nirvana. Why? Abhi to Buddha had said, one who knows Pratitsamutpada knows the Bodhi. But right now we are knowing it. All the 12 links I am knowing. We know. But still we are not liberated. Isn't it? क्यों? क्योंकि reason है उसका. Moment we note these 12 dependent links, immediately a thought comes in our mind. Oh यार ठीक है, अब आ जाए एग्जाम में, छोड़ दूंगा, पूरा का पूरा कर दूंगा. We are clinging. We are attached with this world. Isn't it? So this knowing is not knowing. It's a real knowing is that I am not clinged, I am not attached. I hope you are understanding. Right? This is how a thing is Jivan Mukta. Buddha is not attached. But Buddha is continued to live for another 40 years something. It also does not mean that he has become emotionless and we saying Buddha, Buddha and this. वो चीज नहीं है ना, वो चल रहा है उसका कार्यक्रम, कहीं कोई इशू नहीं है. But now his actions are something like that Nishkam Karma. His actions have lost that causal efficiency to give rise to effect, fruits. Now no further accumulation. But he continues to exist. Why? क्योंकि भैया पहले की जो है वो कौन खाएगा? आपके फ्रूट्स है तो आप ही को खाने होंगे ना. This is according to the moral law. You did and you have to reap. So whatever is already existing, I have to eat. And Buddha ate for another 40 years. Don't write in your answers whatever I am saying, this Buddha and eating fruits and all that. Be careful. Isn't it? At least in test series don't write. Because in test series you will be caught kya. In examination, so he can't catch you know. वहाँ तो कुछ भी लिख दो, वहाँ तो स्टोरी भी लिख देंगे तो चलेगा, कोई टेंशन नहीं है. Right? So don't write in your answer. It is just I'm making you to understand so that you can have visualization.
what is
to be
written
is on the board. On the board I will never write anything which is not to be, included. And still, your
booklet
and your textbooks are containing those things which we are supposed to write. But we need to appreciate that, and hence for appreciation, we are taking a lot of pain into this, so that we can understand, and once we read, we will, further memorizing that. So, Pratitsamutpada is from relative point of view, sansar chakra, and from absolute point of view, this is nirvana. Nirvana does not mean extinction of existence, rather it is cessation of suffering. Is that clear?
So, with the Pratitsamutpada, he has explained what nirvana, and he has also explained
the root cause of suffering, or you can say root cause of bondage. Root cause of bondage is ignorance, and ignorance will be removed by right knowledge. Right knowledge of this, that is this has gone, this cycle is broken, and hence you are free from this. This is how we have four noble truths. Second and third noble truth is leading to
Pratitsamutpada. And now we have attempted what is
Pratitsamutpada. This is nothing but
theory of dependent
origination. Is that fine? And your third noble truth, what it says, that cessation
of suffering is possible.
and cessation of suffering is known as nirvana. So nirvana is contained in which noble truth? And path is contained in which noble truth? Fourth. Everything is there. Is that fine? Yeah.
So, even after nirvana, Buddha continued to suffer till death. How is that justified?
Sorry, I have explained things.
But so then how can nirvana be defined as cessation of suffering?
Okay, again I'll explain. I think its cells are weak, I'll just come into. Yes, so the issue is, why Buddha is suffering after nirvana? This is, I think, one, we have already raised this question during Jainism also. And we can further raise, Mr. Buddha, you have attained enlightenment, nirvana, cessation of suffering. Then why you are suffering? Because to exist with this body is a problem. This body feels hungry, tired, isn't it? इसको भी चोट लगती है, बीमार होता है. I'm tired. So why you are suffering? And what is the use of then enlightenment? And what is the fun in, having nirvana? This is how we have already said, already existing, there are fruits. A potter is there, right, who makes pot on that rotating, revolving wheel. Isn't it? Whole day he makes pot. Now one last pot comes, and into this wheel he gives a, final momentum, a push, a strong push. And this wheel rotates very fast. He gives final touch to this pot, picks up, keeps it, gets up, wash hands, and goes away into his home. But what happened to that wheel? That continues to rotate. And it is continuing rotating and gradually slows down. In the same way, I have already got momentum from my previous accumulated fruits. But right now I have attained right knowledge. So now whatever I do, that will not lead to further accumulation. But whatever is already there, I have to eat. Now to eat, I don't know how many birds I need. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 100, maybe 1,000. वो मुझे नहीं पता. But as long as there are certain fruits in this bag, I have to come again and again. Suppose I have eaten all the fruits and only one is left out, and I have to, I died. But again I have to come to eat remaining one fruit. वो एक बचा है, वो कौन खाएगा? मुझे खाना होगा ना. Since एक ही बचा है, so it is just, you can imagine, I took birth and after 2 minutes and 2 days and 2 months and 2 years, I had eaten that fruit, depending कि कितना fruit कितना strong है. And I believe I will die. I will leave this body also. This is what had happened to Buddha. Because his wheel was continuing to rotate for another 40 years something. And as we had seen, one last fruit comes in the form of, his last fruit was rotten. Because he fell ill, because half cooked that pork, and he fell with amoebic dysentery, and that had become the cause of his death. And this is where he left this body also. Earlier he was Jivan Mukta, you can say. We have another term for that. And when he left this body, then there is Vidya Mukti. And his death is known as Mahaparinirvana. यहाँ जरूरत नहीं है हमें. All these terminologies are required for you in GS. There sometimes they may ask. Usually one question comes from this philosophical system, so their philosophy students are very happy. यहाँ एक question आ गया philosophy. But usually they touch philosophy से नहीं. Basically all this philosophical activity is belonging to which era? Ancient times. Which century? 6th century BC. That 6th century BC is very important. Every year one or two questions, if one or two questions are certain, अगर एंशियंट से 4 क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे तो 2 वहां से होंगे. अगर एक ही पूछेगा एंशियंट इंडिया से, तो 99% chances are there that will be from 6th century BC. Nowadays people are not studying ancient India, but at least the 6th century BC should be thorough, because it is the formative years, century for India. What is India? Centuries after, that has laid down foundation in this. Either religion, society, judiciary system, legal system, your political system, your economic system, your philosophical system, your cultural system, everything is there. Fine? Anyway, so this is how Buddhism's 4 noble truths, 2nd and 3rd leading to Pratitsamutpada, and this is Pratitsamutpada. Now Pratitsamutpada will be logically leading to other doctrines one by one. We will see that. So let us take down something gently. Give heading Buddhism. Buddhism belongs to Gnostic system. Belongs to Gnostic system. That is heterodox. Next point. Buddha has given 4 noble truths. And these 4 noble truths forms the foundation of his entire philosophical system. Next point, or you can write here, these are, first is, the world is full of suffering. The world is full of suffering. Second, there is a cause of this suffering, Third, there is cessation of suffering. There is cessation of suffering. Next, there is a path to the cessation of suffering. Next point. These 4 noble truths are primarily four realities. Whose contemplation leads to sainthood. Saint. Next point. In fact, these 4 noble truths are 4 types of practices, such as, first noble truth, that is reality of suffering, assigns to the disciple the practice of cultivating understanding. Second noble truth, that is reality of the origin of suffering. Calls for the practice of renunciation. Third noble truth, that is reality of the cessation of suffering. Asks us to directly realize the destruction of suffering. Next is the fourth noble truth, that is the reality of the past. leading to the cessation of suffering. Leading to the cessation of suffering imposes on us the practice of developing the Eightfold Path. This Ashtangic marg is divided into three kinds of training. First is training in wisdom. Second, ethical training. And third, training in concentration. Write in bracket, through 4 stages. Give a small heading: metaphysical importance of noble truths. Metaphysical importance of 4 noble truths. Second and third noble truth. Logically leads to the theory of causation, known as Pratitsamutpada. That is theory of dependent origination. Next point. Now this is all about Pratitsamutpada, right? According to Pratitsamutpada, everything in this world is relative. Conditional, dependent, subject to birth and death, and therefore impermanent. Next point. The causal formula being write in quote, this being that arises, that is dependent on the cause, effect arises. This is very important line. You can have question on that. We will see again and again repetitive questions are coming on Pratitsamutpada. But there are certain scopes where Pratitsamutpada will be could be asked in a different way. One of the way of asking is discuss or examine the metaphysical importance of, within quote, this being that arises. It is very simple, but if you don't have conceptual understanding, if you don't revise, then this simple question becomes very tough in examination hall, and you will see many people will be saying, "Yaar, ye kya question पूछ लिया? ऐसे question यार कैसे करेंगे यार?" Right? It is what it happens in the market. Right? So keep open your eyes. You can have direct question and in between line. Next point. According to Buddha, there is neither absolutely real, nor absolutely unreal. It hangs between reality and nothingness. It hangs between reality and nothingness. That is middle path, madhyam marg. Next point. He identifies Pratitsamutpada with Bodhi, that is enlightenment, and Dharma, that is law. Next point. Suffering is sansar. Suffering is sansar, and cessation of suffering is nirvana. Next point. Pratitsamutpada, when seen from relative point of view, Pratitsamutpada, when seen from relative point of view, is sansar. But when seen from absolute point of view, it is nirvana. Next point. Buddha found the solution of misery. Buddha found the solution of misery or suffering in Pratitsamutpada, elaborated in the form of causal wheel of 12 dependent links. 12 dependent links. Right? We can make this circle. This 12 dependent links, no issues if you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But technically, it is to be presented as that circle because it is vicious circle. Right? So it is always better to represent that. But even if you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no issues. One thing, for the sake of make you understand, I have moved in a reverse way. Suffering is caused by birth and this and that. In books or in the text or in the notes, you will find other way around. If I go other way around, then that clarity does not come. So I have done in that way. Both are things same because this is a vicious circle. Right? Fine. Next point. The root cause of this causal wheel is the ignorance. It can be ended only by right knowledge. This is a vicious circle of causation. This is a vicious circle of causation. It does not end with the death. Death is only the beginning of new life. Death is only the beginning of new life. Next point. This causal wheel is known as Janam Maran Chakra. Bhav Chakra. Dharma Chakra. Pratitsamutpada Chakra. Next point. Nirvana does not mean extinction of existence. Nirvana does not mean extinction of existence. Rather, it is the extinction of suffering. Right, one more point. Pratitsamutpada is the fundamental teaching of Buddha. Fine. I hope till now no issues. Okay. Now let us see what other things are logically coming from Pratitsamutpada. Second and third noble truths are leading to the theory of causation, cause and effect relation. And Buddhist theory of causation is known by one particular name, that is Pratitsamutpada, this being that arises. And he explains each and everything we will see with the help of this Pratitsamutpada, theory of dependent origination. If we understand this, we get nirvana. And what Pratitsamutpada says? Pratitsamutpada simply says that everything in this world is conditional, dependent, subject to production and destruction, and subject to birth and death. It logically leads that everything is then impermanent. Everything is impermanent. Isn't it? When everything is subject to destruction, whoever thing has come in this world is subject to destruction. It means, is there anything in this world which is permanent? Is there anything in this world which is eternal? No. So logically it means that it is impermanent. This board is not permanent. I am not permanent. This table is not permanent. This is what it is like, you can say, anityavad. Nitya means eternal. And this is anitya, means non-eternal, that is impermanent. Getting? When everything is impermanent and when everything is subjected to destruction, that logically means that this board is still under the process of destruction. Suppose after 2 years it gets destroyed. Does it mean that after 2 years a particular moment comes and it all of a sudden destroys? No, it is logically not possible. It means that change is still going on. that change is still in the process. And hence, very logically, Buddha says that everything in this world is momentary. Everything in this world is momentary. That means everything exists for a moment alone. And this is where his philosophy comes. That is theory of momentariness. Theory of momentariness or Kshanikva. Kshanikva. A thing exists for a moment alone. He says, change is the rule of the universe. He says that change is the rule of the universe. There lies nothing in this world which is permanent, which is immortal, which is indestructible. Everything is subject to destruction. It means everything is changing. Change is the rule of the universe. A thing exists for a moment. एक क्षण के लिए रहती है. This क्षण, this moment, don't get confused with 1 second. Because within 1 second, there are infinite moments. Don't even confuse 1 by billionth part of a second. That is क्षण. Because even in that क्षण, there are infinite movements. This movement, this क्षण, is a metaphysical movement. I exist for a moment. This table exists for a moment. You exist for a moment. That moment come and go, destroyed. This board exists for a moment, and Buddha says change is the rule of the universe. Buddha says that in this world, when I observe this world, when I see this world, I don't find that a thing is changing. Hear properly. Buddha says, when I see this world, I don't find a thing which is changing. Rather, I see a flow of change. There is ceaseless flow of change. There is flux. There is no being or non-being. That means neither there is some existence nor non-existence. What is real? There is only becoming. Only becoming is the reality. Just keep on thinking and follow. You will understand. Buddha says that when I see this world, when I observe this world, I find that in this world there is not a thing which is changing. Buddha is not saying that a table is continuously changing. If he would have said the table is continuously changing, that means put pressure. I say, repeat. Buddha is saying that there is not a table which is continuously changing, because he believes in Kshanikva, theory of momentariness. A thing exists only for a moment. When I see this world, I see only flow of change. सिर्फ एक बदलाव का, चेंज का एक प्रवाह है. There is flux only. He is not saying that there is a table which is changing. If he says that there is a table which is changing, that means
sudden change in the table. He acknowledges the existence of table.
Absolutely, he acknowledges the existence of permanent existence of table which is changing, and then very Kshanikva. लेकिन यहाँ पर कोई टेबल नाम की कोई चीज है ही नहीं. There is only flow of change. There is only flow of change. There is not a being nor non-being. There is only becoming. We continuously becoming something, because we exist for a moment alone. Keep on following. I know where you are stuck now. Right? Just keep on following, you will understand. Through examples, of course. Buddha is logically deriving Kshanikvad from Pratitsamutpada, or you can say Anityavad, or more specifically Pratitsamutpada, when everything is impermanent, it logically leading to the Kshanikvad. Keep on following. I know, right? The only thing is you have to control yourself. Many questions will come, isn't it? When it becomes uncontrollable, sir, bas bahut ho gaya sir, ab nahi aur. Of course, then I can handle your question. Till that point, if you are able to control, that will be good, because your query is going to be answered. Fine. Kshanikvad, momentariness. I exist for a moment. You exist for a moment. Buddha says, when I look this world, I see only flow of change. Okay, Buddha calls his disciple. हाँ भाई, आ जा यार, तेरा टेस्ट है. And I ask you one simple question, and if you answer, then you are finally passed out. And if you answer wrong, then you fail and you have to repeat. Okay, disciple is ready. Okay, sir, fine, I am ready. Then Buddha says, can you bathe twice in the same river? Buddha asks, can you bathe twice in this same river? Buddha, his disciple says, thinks and then says towards sir once, I can take bath in this 100 times. And Buddha says, you have utterly failed. Get back to your study. Chal wapas. Why? The river is flowing. This river seems to be one, but actually it is made up of infinite water droplets, and these water droplets are moving so fast, so steadily, so continuously, so rapidly that it creates an illusion of oneness. हमें एक river नजर आ रही है, but ये एक नहीं है. Once you have taken dip in this river, those water has moved away, and that has been replaced by fresh set of new water droplets. This river has changed. I have changed. I can't take bathe twice in the same river. This is Kshanikva. I exist for a moment. But then how you see me this? Why we are seeing board as board? In last lecture also this was same board, today also, and tomorrow also you will find the same board. Where is the change? Where is the change? Now you see what actually Buddha is trying to say. That change is the rule of the universe. Kshanikva. I am continuously changing. Just imagine if you meet me after 15-20 years, you will find some changes in me. Only here and there, few wrinkles and more black hairs. Isn't it? Then at one time I can do it. Isn't it? But that changes, which you are seeing me. Does that change have come all of a sudden? No, after 20 years. That change which you see me, in me, that has come only at that point of time when you see me. No, that logically implies no. That change is still going on. Crudely understood. That wrinkling and that my aging process is going on. But you are not able to see because it is not perceptible. It is not prominent. Moment it becomes prominent, you will say, you are changed. This board, you are continuously for 2-3 months, you will see almost the same. But is it going to be same for all the time? It will start breaking down, destroying. Color fade hoga, dhire dhire perish hoga. This table I am seeing, it is broken from this, it is broken from that, and after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it will be completely vanished. Some changes are going on. Are you understanding? That logically implies that change is still there, but you are not able to see it. Because they have one, that change is not so prominent. And second thing, the change is so rapidly moving, so fast, so continuous, so steadily, that we see oneness. Just as we see river. Just we see a flame. This flame is seen as one. But is it one? No. And is it permanent? No. It will extinguish after some time. जैसे इसका wax खत्म होगा, gone. In the same way, Buddha says that we exist only for a moment alone. But this movement is so rapidly changing, so fast, so continuously changing, that it gives a illusion of oneness. That is, it creates illusion of unity. Like for example, river. River seems to be one, but it is not one. It is made up of infinite water droplets. And the best example we will see in Western philosophy. We will have one philosopher who will be saying same thing. And he would be giving one example of modern cinema. Modern cinema, on the screen, we see one unified character. But is it one? His every gesture is strapped into some clippings. And these clippings are moved so fast that it creates oneness on the screen. In the same way, this clipping is moved so fast that you see me as one. Now you come. There is neither being nor non-being, only becoming. Now you understand. Does Buddha saying that there is a table which is continuously changing? No. Now you can appreciate. Then what this table is? T-A-B-L-E. Ye kya? River. What this river is? Word to hai na hamare paas. Do we have words? Yes, we have words. Then what? Why you call this table? It as a table. This as board. What does board mean? Is there any entity corresponding to board? Is there any entity corresponding to this table? This word table? इसके corresponding कुछ है क्या संसार में? Moment पे ही है, and that exists for a moment. इसका मतलब table के corresponding कुछ है नहीं. Any confusion? This is how I am trying to explain. River seems to be one, but it is not one. Is there anything corresponding to river? है नहीं, because it exists for a moment alone. So is there anything corresponding to this table? Nothing. Then what does table mean? फिर ये table क्या है? Table तो हमने नाम दे दिया to this illusion of unity. To this illusion of unity you have given name board. To that illusion of unity, जब एक ही चीज बार बार दिख रही है, तो उसका नाम हमने दे दिया river. Actually there is nothing corresponding to river. Getting my point? And hence, फिर से एक बार देख लें, because this is too conceptual. There is neither being nor only becoming. We all are becoming, and change is the rule of the universe. This is his theory of Kshanikva, theory of momentariness. We exist for a moment. You will be surprised to know, probably more or less same time, what Buddha is saying over here, same thing is echoed, said by some Greek philosopher in Greek words. More or less same thing. And you will be still amazed that we find the same example of river in both these philosophers. Buddha here and there another Greek philosopher. Here Buddha's theory is known as Kshanikva, and there his theory is known as all change theory. Right? Don't get into name who is that. I mean, we are not concerned. All change theory, Kshanikva. A thing exists continuously changing, or exists for a moment. Buddha exists for a moment. This is how we will find great similarity, as we have already seen that Jeev of Janas is similar to monads of Lagni. This is great similarity and great comparison, and it is because of this our comparative study becomes important. And one more fact we can, crack, that everywhere man is same. ये जो रखा है यहाँ पर, ये same is. India, China, Greece, Europe, wherever you go, man is man. What is lying over here is same. So my flight of thought and their flight of thought and Chinese person's flight of thought would be more or less same. Then where difference comes? Language. बुद्ध ने कहा क्षणिकवाद, उसने ग्रीक टर्म यूज किया हो क्योंकि उसको पाली नहीं आती और यहाँ इनको ग्रीक नहीं आती, बट द इंटरप्रिटेशन इज सेम. Anyway, we will see more similarity, and once we take a Western philosophy, then you will really appreciate and you will really enjoy. So look, great similarities there. Fine. In Buddhism, what we have discussed today, 4 noble truths. Second and third leading to Pratitsamutpada. Third noble truth is leading to Nirvana. And Pratitsamutpada is leading to another philosophy. Till now, one philosophy has come, that is Kshanik, momentary. I hope it is clear. I'll wind up here, and tomorrow we will further extend this. And I think effectively Buddhism should be over by tomorrow. Alright? Definitely it will persist to third class also, day after tomorrow also. But as far as discussion and theories are concerned, tomorrow it will be over. So again I have to remind, because these are the initial days, no matter how I move slow, but I can't help it out. Schools and these philosophies, theories are really very small. So please try to move along with the class. If you move along the class, it is great. Okay? Chale then, I'll wind up. Yeah, you had certain issues. Please.
Does that mean that Buddhist school is skeptic because they are not they are realistic?
We will see that. It will be answered, I think.
Can we say that change is the essence of world? Change is the essence of change is the substance. Means because there is only change.
Only permanent entity is the change.
Like in Jainism we had dravya. Here we have change, kind of. Right.
No द्रव्य है ये.
Because
ये तो सिर्फ एक एक्चुअल बता रहे हैं, इसमें कोई हिडन कोई मीनिंग नहीं. चेंज इज द रूल ऑफ द यूनिवर्स. सब बदल रहे हैं. Everything exists for a moment. Yeah, you had something.
One more thing is that what about the soul then? And
Coming. It will come. It will come. Everything will come. Fine, chali. Okay, thank you.